Hey guys, welcome back to another HanSelah art video. In this video, I want to give you probably the best drawing advice / tips that you'll probably ever hear. This literally came to me like 15 minutes ago and I was thinking about it and I was like, oh my goodness, you have to get in front of your camera and just record these things because I think I'm onto something here. So this week I ordered myself a new brush pen and it arrived yesterday, and I wanted to just do a couple of sketches to like get a feel for the pen and play around and just have fun in my sketchbook. So I was literally up at like midnight last night drawing these little sketches, right? So these are 1-minute sketches, very quick, literally have no time to think, you just draw what you see, right? So I was using the pen and I really like this. I took 2 pictures, little snippets, I put it on my Instagram, and I had quite a few people really liking the style. And that really got me thinking, because I get a lot of people always say to me, oh Han, like I love your drawing, I wish I could draw like that. Do you have any tips and advice for me, any tricks? Can you help me draw better? 9 out of 10 times, I give them my usual tips and I tell them, you just got to practice as well. Like that is the bottom line of any skill, really, is practice and just carry on until you get better. But I was actually thinking about it and I was like, maybe there's more to like just the usual tips. Maybe it's in your actual medium. Maybe it's in your instruments that you're using, your tools, your equipment. Now, I am in no way saying you need anything fancy to make art, because that is absolutely not true. If you see my video from last week about drawing until my pen runs out, I literally just used a normal big ballpoint pen that I used to use in high school. So you do not need anything fancy to draw with. But you have so many different types of tools and equipment when it comes to drawing that maybe people are using the wrong instrument that is suited to them and their style. I don't necessarily have a drawing style. That is probably my most loathed question when it comes to drawing. It's like, what is your drawing style? But that's another whole story. That's another whole video probably. Anyway, back to what I was saying. The best advice in the world when it comes to drawing. Look at your instruments and what you are using, and is that suited to your personal style, your personal touch? Because your medium plays a huge role in how your art turns out. And in this video, I want to show you exactly how that works. So I literally went through, here's more. And okay, for this video, it's solely going to be markers and pens. Okay, as you can see, yeah, there's a lot. These are all different. These are all different types of pens that you can get. You have aqua markers and hard tip brush markers and fine tip brush markers and long tip brush markers, and then you have things like Sharpies, and you have ballpoint pens, and you have 0.5 fine liners, 0.1 fine liners, highlighters, which are chisel tips. You have normal Kokies, or I don't know what Americans call these, like felt tip markers. Yeah, you have felt tip markers, calligraphy pens, paint markers, alcohol markers, more alcohol markers. So I mean, I have a huge supply of pens in front of me. All of these pens can do the exact same thing. They all draw, they all make marks, they all make art, but how you use them is completely going to change how your art looks. So in this video, I'm going to use each one of these pens, draw the exact same thing, and show you how the tool that you're using can affect what your art looks like. I'm going to be drawing it in the style that I would use that medium. For example, how I use a ballpoint pen is not going to be the same on how I use an alcohol marker. So I'm going to use each of these pens, how I would usually approach that medium. You should apply that knowledge and know that if you switch out to medium, you're going to switch out your way of thinking. Okay, so that is way too much talking on my side now. Let's just get to the video, because these words mean nothing. It's actually an actual drawing and physical thing where we can see what happens. So yeah, hopefully this is the best art advice you've ever received. If it is, please give this a thumbs up. And yeah, let's get drawing. So guys, welcome to Hannah's Guide to Drawing. Step number 1, you've got to find a reference image. So I'm using a site called Unsplash, not sponsored by the way, but they are a copyright-free site, and I found this beautiful image of a lady with an afro. Step number 2, get all your pens together that you're going to be testing, trying, and working with. First off, I'm going to start with the Pentel Pocket Brush Marker. This is step 3, by the way. You just got to start drawing. And as you can see, there is no pencil here. I am sketching solidly in pen, going straight in with the marker that I want to use. So, like I said, this is the Pentel brush marker. This was the exact pen that arrived yesterday that I was playing around with. Next up, you have a whole bunch of different types of micron pens. I'm going to be using the 0.1, the 0.5, and the brush marker throughout this video. This is the 0.1 tip fine liner. This fine liner nib is tiny. It is minute. It is really small, As you can see, you can pick up some really intricate details with this fine liner. The next is the 0.5 tip. So this is the exact same fine liner, but it's got a slightly thicker nib, and you can see it in the brush strokes. You can see that the pen strokes are much thicker. Fourth pen is a highlighter. This is just a common high school highlighter. Nothing much special about it. I don't usually draw in highlighter, but I know some artists do, and you can get some pretty cool results with highlighters. So yeah. Fifth pen is a Sharpie. I forgot that Sharpies bleed through everything, so I actually ruined the other side of this page, but it's okay. Next up is the Tombow Food No Soak hard tip brush marker. I am more of a soft tip brush marker lover. That is just personally what I prefer, but look, you can still do really cool brush work with the hard tip. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th one is just a normal gel pen. As you can see, it was running out, so it was really holding on for this drawing. I'm very proud of it. These are all the 7 markers that we've used so far. Moving on, we are using the Tombow Aqua Marker. I was actually gifted this Aqua Marker as a set by Tombow France a couple of months ago, and it is a dual tip marker, so it's got the brush tip and then it's also got the fine tip. So here I'm using the fine tip now. As you can see, completely different mark making that you can do. Next up, we have just a cheapo acrylic paint marker. So you got to give it a good shake to make sure that all the paint comes to the end of the nib. It took forever to dry, but it's okay. Next up, we have another acrylic marker, but this is a more of a glossy finish, and it's got a much smaller nib, so it's not as fat as the first one. So we've done 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is the 12th one. I am now using the Pentel Sign Marker. So the Sign Marker is different to the Pocket Brush Marker. They're similar, but they're very different. I pretty much lived with this pen all through my first year of university. It was amazing. Next up, I think this is the 13th one. We've got just a normal Bic ballpoint pen. Like I said, used this all throughout high school. You can achieve some really awesome brush marks and mark making with this. Lots of intricate details and shading. Okay, so these are all the pens we've done. 7. And then I think it was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have lost count now, guys. Next up, we have an Artistro paint marker. The Artistro brand is actually a really good budget-friendly option of Posca markers. So if you're ever in the market for a good acrylic paint marker, Artistro is pretty good. Next up, we have the Papermate Flair pen. This is basically what we call a Koki in South Africa, but I think Americans call this a felt tip marker. It's like just a standard thing you would use at school. This next pen is one of my absolute favorite pens ever. It is the Tombow Food No Soak soft tip brush marker. Love this brush marker. Next up, I'm showing you the difference between the Micron brush marker versus the Pentel brush marker. My Micron one is running out because I've used it so much. Lovely pen, absolutely loved it. It's waterproof as well, so it's amazing. Next up is the Ohuhu alcohol marker. I am using the chisel tip side, and opposed to that, I am using the higher end Copic markers. These are super expensive, and I'm using the fine tip of the Copic marker to show the difference in alcohol markers. Next up, we have just an ordinary Pilot fine liner. I literally spent my whole high school career with this fine liner. This is what kickstarted any sort of pen and ink for me. Next up, we have a Typo/Cotton On, very bottom range marker, brush marker. It's a dual tip as well. Next up, we have an Artline permanent marker. This literally smells like my preschool. I was always in the art department at preschool, and they always had to write my name on the artwork, so I can just smell my preschool years, and that's a long time ago. And lastly, but not least, we have 3 different calligraphy markers, and I chose the 3.5mm nib. So yeah, kind of just went with the middle ground on on this one. Obviously the 5 would have been much thicker, and then the 2, I think it was, yeah, that would have been a lot thinner. So yeah, these are all of the different portraits that we've made of one reference image, but the only thing that changed was the pen. So if you ever feel stuck, if you ever feel you need, you know, a little bit of something, just swap out your medium, swap out your marker, swap out what you're working with. You've got to change the way you're thinking when you change your mediums, and it really helps. So yeah, that's some advice I got to give you. You can play with your line work, play with your brush marks, play with your mark making, and you can do so much if you just apply this approach of just changing things up. If you only use one type of pen, you know, give another one a shot. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had so much fun doing all of these drawings, and as you can see, they're all completely different. So if you're just starting on your drawing journey, or if you feel stuck along your drawing journey, maybe just swap out your medium, swap your way of thinking, swap your approach to making art. If you found this video helpful, and if you do think it's the best drawing advice in the world, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more weekly content, and yeah, sending lots of love in this festive season because Christmas is coming up. And yeah, have a great day wherever you are in the world. I'll see you soon. Bye.